Hello everyone, I'm Roger Camp coming to you from the empty offices here of Camp & King in San Francisco. I want to say that I'm really proud and excited that Camp & King is a return sponsor for this year's 3% conference. We were able to attend in person last year and it truly blew away all expectations. So to be able to support the 3% conference again this year is great. And while I know the venue for this year's conference has changed and we can't all be together, the commitment for better representation within our industry hasn't. Last year, I introduced a panel by Kate Higgins, Jenny Hoffman, and Vanessa Toro that was entitled My Family of Origin. But this year, I'm introducing you to a panel that is going to be about our client prAna and their commitment to making positive change. This group is going to be led by Emily Dillow, who is a junior partner here at Camp & King and head of brand, and is going to feature Jeff Haack, who is our VP of marketing at prAna, as well as Queena Bergen, who is the winner of our prAna Day Job to Dream Job contest, which you'll hear a little bit more about. So with that, thank you very much, and hope you guys have a great day.
Well, thank you, Roger, for that introduction. I'm Emily, and I'm here today with Jeff and Queena. It's so great to see you both.
Thanks, Emily. It's great to be here, and thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm excited for this conversation.
Awesome. So in this session, we're going to be talking about a campaign that prAna and Camp & King created together to inspire positive change, the Day Job to Dream Job contest. Take a look.
My dream job would be to open up a gym dedicated to people with Parkinson's disease.
My dream is to become a sports broadcaster.
I want to be a speaker for mental health.
For as long as I can remember in my
My name is Queena Bergen. This is me. I am a software engineer. My day job is sitting behind a screen. It is routine. So for all my techies, I guess you can say I have been programmed to execute those commands perfectly. I'd quit my job and travel the country with only one thought resting in the back of my conscience: to bring motivation, inspiration, and poetry to the forefront of any conversation, from Franklin to Riverdale, from public schools to prison cells, from open mics and late night traffic to the Congress halls or college campus. I want to help people believe.
So much like the 3% movement, prAna is committed to inspiring positive change. Jeff, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about what positive change means to prAna and why the brand decided to pursue this idea.
Great, thanks, Emily. Well, prAna's always been a purpose-driven brand, and that started with our commitment to sustainability over 20 years ago. I think over the years, we've had the privilege of working with the Fair Trade Organization, and we've come to appreciate the value in having a real positive human impact, one person at a time. Mm-hmm. So over time, as we've kind of continued to embrace this broader mission of promoting and supporting positive change with our internal teams, with our partners, and with our customers, that's become kind of top of the list for us. I think after sharing some of these thoughts and ideals with you and the Camp King team, and then you and the team coming back with the dream job concept, it really checked all those boxes. It became a way for us to really pay forward kind of that thinking and those ideals, and positively impact the life of one passionate person committed to positive change.
We really set out to create positive change for one individual, that $100,000 winner. But by choosing Queena as the winner, you've been able to multiply that impact exponentially. Queena, I would love to hear what you've been up to since winning the contest.
Right after winning the contest, I took a trip out to California. I got to meet the team. That was super exciting. I brought my best friend in video production with me. So that was a pretty fun time. As soon as we got back, we just headed right to work. So I opened my own business, and I started getting ready for February, which was Black History Month. During Black History Month, I did a few PSAs. It was my first time on network television, so I was really excited for that opportunity. I was on the news, and then my PSAs ran throughout the month of February on CBS. That was exciting. And then in March, obviously the quarantine happened, so a lot of things shifted from there. But we ended up using a lot of that downtime to help more people, particularly the people in my community. So in late March, we actually started a project called FHS 360. And it was addressing the graduates of my former alma mater not being able to graduate in person because of COVID-19. So me and my video production company actually shot a virtual reality video so that they can feel like they are back in the school, back in the locations that they remember so much. And we're just coming off of that project right now, super excited about it. We're at like 10,000 views now, and it was 600 students. We donated virtual reality headsets to them and the packaging and things like that so that they can have an awesome senior gift that they won't forget.
That's awesome. That's so amazing. I'd love to understand, Queena, where did you first hear about the contest?
I was scrolling on Instagram. When I saw it, I actually screenshotted the image that showed up. And maybe a few days later, me and my best friend sat down and we had just started a new job. So we were celebrating the fact that we had this new job. And I asked her, and I'm like, what would you do if you, quit your 9-to-5 and just did whatever you wanted to do? Within a few hours, we had the entire submission laid out, and we said, let's go for it.
That's amazing. And when you did that, did you feel like you had a shot, or were you kind of feeling like it was a super long shot?
So to be honest with you, I've been doing poetry since I was about 9 years old. And, I started competing for public speaking when I was about 13. So this has always been something where I'm always going after programs or contests and things like that. So it was a part of our nature to basically just try. It wasn't necessarily about winning because we didn't know whether or not we would win, but it's not necessarily about the winning part is the reason why we do it. We do it every single time because even if we lost the competition, we created a piece of content that we believe in.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it is a beautiful piece of content. I will say that when, obviously here at the agency, we were watching all 2000 submission videos, and the second we came to Queena's, it was like, wow, this is different. This is something special. I know a lot of people cried the first time they watched it. So
that warms my heart.
We're so glad that you did decide to enter and that you said, you know what, it's worth a shot.
It always is. They always say that you miss 100% of the shots you never take.
It's a great sentiment. So Jeff, kind of expanding on that, as you guys had to go through and make the very hard decision about out of these 2,000 plus entries, which one are we going to pick? What was it about Queena's that really stood out to you guys as a brand?
Well, first, we never expected to be reviewing over 2,000 submissions. I think that was, we figured out maybe we'll get 75 or 100 or something. We were taken aback because it was, at that early point in the process, it was already exceeding our expectations. What stood out for us first and foremost was just Queena's larger than life personality. Her presence and her ability to tell a really compelling story. And that was exciting for us. But as we got into it, we recognized that Queena really was the entire package. It was exactly what we were, I wouldn't even say what we were hoping for. It greatly exceeded our expectations. So we were blown away the first time we saw it. And we were blown away the 15th time that we saw it. There was no question in our mind.
I agree. And I really do feel like it comes back, Queena, to the fact that your video was so much not just about you, not about what I want to do with $100,000, how it's going to help me, how it's going to change my life. It was about how you were going to use that money to change other people's lives. And when we again go back to the core of the brand and the purpose of this idea to spread positive change, there was really no other submission that hit on that so perfectly.
I don't find a lot of joy in just doing something for myself, because more particularly spoken word and poetry it's not even designed that way. Like, it's designed for something, it's designed for me to talk about something that I'm going through that I feel like other people can relate to. You know, being able to communicate effectively is one of the greatest skills that I've ever gotten in my life. And it helps me understand the world that I live in so much better, and not just, exist inside of it. Like, I don't want to be by myself. I want to be with everyone. That's why quarantine is so difficult for me,
Yeah, and I think that's an incredible attitude to have. So, obviously we're here at the 3% conference and supporting the movement to change the ratio within the advertising industry and have more women and people of color in this industry. Jeff, what steps did prAna take to overcome unconscious bias in judging the Day Job to Dream Job contest?
Emily, I think that's an important question. I think, we tried to be really thoughtful about the selection criteria in the hopes that we would reward and celebrate diversity rather than stifle it. One of the pillars for us for Clothing for Positive Change is this notion of adventure for all. So it's all genders, all ethnicities, all sizes and shapes, from beginning to expert. So really inviting everybody into the brand that has an interest in our mission. So that was a really important part of the process, kind of out of the gates. And that selection criteria, we kind of use these 5 guidelines of originality, boldness, personality, and then quality of submission. So instead of judging people based on whether they met our expectations or whether they looked and sounded like our target customers, we did our best to really judge them on their originality and their uniqueness, and really how much passion and commitment that they demonstrated. So, being introduced to this amazing person in Queena and helping her kind of get her mission out there, and conversely, she's kind of sharing in a certain way the mission of prAna and our ideals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so even drafting off of that idea further, Jeff, it feels like racial inequality is something that we're finally starting to confront on a large scale nationally. And, there are a lot of brands out there that are now making commitments to diversity, making commitments to change. I would really love to hear from both of you how you feel brands can support diversity and racial equality in meaningful and authentic ways.
Queena, do you want to start?
Sure. So I think that as far as major brands go, the first thing I would say is consistency. One of the big things that we're dealing with right now is that this could become a trend or a hashtag, and that in some due time, this kind of conversation will fade. I think consistency is going to ultimately shape the conversation of that brand over the lifetime of it. And at the end of the day, most of these brands are in it trying to be there, for as long as possible. So if you want to do that, consistency to that message is going to be very important. So I think that's number one. And then the other thing I would say is that there are a multitude of groups and organizations, whether that is people of color who are in advertising, or accountants, or retail, whatever segment that you're in, there are so many different community organizations that these brands can connect with, so that somebody is in the room. because diversity makes a very big difference on the messaging of the brand, and then also whether or not people are going to believe in that message. So, I think those are probably the two things that I would suggest to any brand is consistency, and then connecting with these groups that could be there as a springboard to these conversations.
Queen, I think those are two critical and important aspects. I think there's a tendency for brands, especially with what's happened and in the past when there have been large social movements, to want to be part of it, I think sometimes maybe with good intentions, but jump on the bandwagon. And I think you're right. It is important to take a thoughtful and an authentic approach. And at least something that we've tried to do before we start externalizing some of these messages is kind of look internally and get our own house in order. And I think every brand can do that. So does that mean, thinking a bit more about diversity in your workplace and being thoughtful with your kind of internal communities before you start externalizing that message? Because I think, Queena, to your point, this is a long play. This is not a flavor of the month campaign that brands should be jumping on just to get some notoriety and some notice. So I think the brands that have success with things like this are the ones that take that long play and spend time and are thoughtful. And again, consistency comes to mind for me as well, Queena. The capacity to show diversity in your marketing is important as well. So there's multiple facets to this, but I think it starts internally. And I think you get your house in order, you put a plan together that your internal team and the organization can get behind, because I think when you're able to do that, and kind of create that concentrated effort, it's more powerful and it's more sustaining.
This has been a great conversation so far. As we kind of wrap up and go into our closing thoughts, I had just one last question for Queena. And this is really, as a content creator and a public speaker, what we're going through right now with stay-at-home orders is really challenging, and it can be really isolating. How do you keep your inspiration and creativity up in this type of environment?
The first step is understanding that what's going on today won't last forever. That's the scariest thing. And I think that's the thing that cripples a lot of people right now, is feeling like you don't know whether or not it's going to go back to normal. But we have to believe in humanity enough and believe in people enough that we're going to figure this out and we're going to get to the other side. So I think it's really, then it came down to a point that once I understood that, once I kind of soaked that in, it's telling myself, who am I going to be on the other side of this? Once quarantine stops and stay-at-home orders go away and I can be outside, what do I say to the world that I've done with this time? And I think that was very important to me, and that was the thing that pushed me, so that when I came out of this, I can say to myself, I didn't spend these 4 months watching Netflix and just spending time on the couch, walking to the refrigerator. I want to be able to come out of this and say that I did something with this isolation, that slowdown time. But if you understand that this is not going to be forever, that's going to be the first thing that helps you get out of it.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for that, Queena. Well, this has been a really fun conversation. It was so great catching up with you guys. And, to all of you at home watching, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Emily. Thank you, Queena. Really appreciate it.
You as well. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Also, can I just let anybody know, if you want to see any of my projects, you can go to queenabergen.com and check out some of the stuff that I've been getting into. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye, guys.
Fun.